Ah. Sound on, vision on. Yes. So, welcome to Tuesday, the 18th of February. There's a K-3 as in culture launch. So I'm going to do everything possible to get the culture up and running on Friday. That's my next day off. The landmines are in place in front of the front door. I won't be waiting for anything in the post. I won't be working. I might even put my phone on airplane mode for the day. Yes. So yeah. Yeah, so today I received 4 packages. Got a super cheap run and gun rig for mounting up my DSLR cameras. Well, my 2 Canon cameras. I got the micro dolly for panning shots. I got the 2 further batteries for the EOS M, bringing me to a total of 5. And what else? I got a ring light, and yeah, 4 packages. So I'm waiting for like 3 remaining packages. I think I've finally decided to get a light reflector, a little arm, possibly for the dolly, see how it does. Certainly be useful for the this little action camera, and a new tripod. So yeah, just waiting for stuff. The reason I'm getting a new tripod, I'm getting exactly the same tripod as I've already got, which is the cheap Velbon standard size tripod, because I've had the Velbon for 5 years and it's never shown any signs of wear and tear. It's always done the job, and it's relatively stable and cheap. So there may well be a whole playlist of cheap usable camera gear. Yes. And this is only going to be a short run around, because ideally I'd like to get this edited and rendered before I go to work. It's about 1 o'clock. A couple of hours yet. So yeah, apologies for yesterday's video. That was really rubbish, but I thought you'd like to see. Quite pleased with the Boya shotgun mic, and even if that only ever provides reference sound or emergency sound, if I sort of like get an opportunity to film something interesting while I'm at work, because the EOS M is becoming my work camera. Yes. So yeah, nearly everything arrived in the post. I'm all happy. Got all my stuff. Yeah. So it's all good. All my filmmaking equipment is doing interesting stuff. And yeah. It's all working. Yeah, that works. So yeah, off for a wander in the woods. And it is very muddy. It did rain yesterday and it's thinking about raining now. We'll see how we go. If it turns into a torrential downpour, this might get cut short. Yeah, so I'm noticing it kind of, I hate to say the phrase, woke backlash and things like that, but there's a lot of things moving and shaking in the world. Although, you know, I absolutely believe in equality of opportunity, which would require the redress of a certain amount of racism, sexism, bias against people of different gender identities and intellectual atypicalness and all the other differences between humans. I believe in at least sort of creating an equal start point, Not necessarily because it's an ethical thing to do, although that plays into it, but because we get so many more ideas. We'd get lots of different art. And in certain ways, you know, as far as creativity concerned, you know, I'm somewhat privileged. I've got a job, I've got a roof over my head, I've got enough spare money to buy kit to do what I want to do. But if I wasn't doing this, I'd be recording a podcast onto a mobile phone, or a cheap voice recorder, or anything really. So yeah, I mean, all it does is increase the amount of convenience that I have. You know, where I've got lighting, I don't have to shoot at a certain time of day. I've got sound, so I don't have to create a specific space in which to record. I've got nice quality video, which is more eye-catching. But back when we were doing Rangers, we didn't buy anything. Point of pride not to buy anything to make Rangers. I think it took us a year to break 50 quid because we bought an extra office chair and some mouse mats and some cables. So yeah, so I've spent more money on the studio. But yeah, so there seems to be hopefully it won't undo all the positive changes. But yeah, I do believe there's only so much you can change in any given generation. I mean, finally the term ms is not seen as derogatory by some people and necessary by others. Everybody sort of gets it. Why should an unmarried woman have to advertise her marital status? There's less bias against people that are just living together, that don't want to get married. You can now get a civil partnership. Although why you want to bring the government into your relationship, I don't know. I didn't think it was a good idea then, and even after being married, I don't think it's a good idea now. But I'm probably biased by my life experience. So yeah, so I don't think you can change a million different things and then keep changing it on a 6 month by 6 month basis as to what's acceptable language. You know, if you are in a group that's being oppressed and you feel you're being oppressed by language, you know, and you keep changing the rules purely so you can point out that people are oppressing you, I think you run into problems. I mean, even if that's not your motivation, that you've just come up with something better, you know, if you want to change all of society, like the term ms, hard fought for, you know, a step forward by second wave feminism, you know, pick one and give people time to adjust. Nobody particularly, well, a few people will set out to be rude straight out the gate, but seriously, you need to come up with a set of rules and then stick to it for at least 10 or 15 years before you change it again. Let things settle down. Everything's too new. And essentially, people that would consider themselves to be perfectly polite are being called out when they didn't get the memo. So, if you want to change stuff, that's good. If you want to change stuff to make people more equal, that's also good. But figure out what the fuck you want before you start fighting for it. Because you're just going to get the backlash that's currently in freefall right now, socially, at least in the West. You know, I think stuff still sucks if you're a gay kid in Moscow. It's still sucky. No amount of progress forward is going to change that. What we've got to do is move people towards wanting to be more ethical. And one of the easiest ways to make them want to be more ethical is have a thing that you move to, a destination in mind. Or at least have a stop along the way and let everybody catch up. Just my 2 cents, I could be wrong. But you try and change everything all at once and you keep trying to change everything, you're just in for heartache because you haven't understood humans. And people don't like rapid change every couple of months. You know, especially if nobody actually says, right, this is the official thing from this community. You know, pick one and stick with it. And then everybody would be a lot happier, and you've got a chance for people to catch up. You've got a chance for the older people that don't want to change to die off, and then you've got your society that you want. But if you complete change it, you never get the society that you want. And I'm all for equality. When I'm watching a movie, I don't think, oh, was this a woman that directed this, or was this a person of colour? or is this a transgender person who made this movie? I care whether it's a good movie. You know, some things have been good, made by transgender people. The Matrix, you know, awesome movie, crappy sequels. Some movies have been directed by women that have been absolutely fantastic, you know, that have worked, that people liked. But we're also into this impact on art, you know. This is part of, you know, an unfortunate SJW backlash. You know, people are really pushing against it. You go too far, you don't think it through, you don't trial it, and then you make your progress, but it ultimately fails, and then you literally provide the next magazine of ammunition to be used against the concept of a level of social equality. Like, you end up trying to do the right thing and then doing more harm than good, which is not good. It messes up the progress. I want the progress. I want everybody to feel they can be who they are. I want everybody to feel that, I'm like this. And be able to identify that early enough that they're not thinking that they're weird or different. You know? Go and listen to the first episode of Rangers Radio. I'm making this for the one gay kid in Arkansas. You know? I want my progress. I want all the ideas and all the cool stuff. Purely self-servingly, but also, you know, reduce human misery. You know? It's really super depressing that, I mean, you also got things like Philip Schofield, children's presenter, came out, you know, aged 57. I mean, that's how you know our society's got room for improvement. He didn't feel he could just be gay. He got married, he's got kids. You know, when, you know, now you've got a situation where those children are wondering, you know, did my dad want me, given that he was gay? You've got his wife in sort of like major levels of confusion. And that's what happens. You ruin lives and you slow up progress, you know. But you still have to have those staging points so everybody can be on the same page. It's just how it is. Yeah. Ducks. 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 Ducks in the air, just not for very long because they're ducks. So yeah, I'd like to see some destination type stuff. And so we're going to this place. These are the preferred pronouns. These are the preferred terms. Cool. Here are the steps we can take. Because for the large part, it always seems driven by people with a lot more money than the people that are actually being oppressed. You know, why don't you start making some economic moves forward? You know, universal basic income. You know, access to arts courses. You know, they're always going on about who's producing what. Put a film school course. If you are a film school and you're going, oh yes, well we'd like more people of colour and blah blah blah, put your stuff online then, give it away. You know, otherwise all you're doing is helping middle class people who can afford tuition. You know, put it on YouTube. People are doing that. Well, former students are doing that. You don't get too many film school lecturers or ethics lecturers or philosophy lecturers putting stuff on. Those ones that do, I celebrate. Create an education system where, you know, people can use the time that they're not working to, you know, study for universities, pay someone to mark their essays and their coursework, and then go and pay for an exam where it doesn't cost thousands of dollars. You know, create equality of opportunity. You know, you want to really change stuff, give people the option. It doesn't cost a lot of money to set up. It costs a lot less money than our country's waste. You know, we waste more money than it would cost to set up the option to go to university in your spare time without having to actually leave your house. You know, a list of YouTube videos, or, you know, access to a server at a university, but you know, YouTube's kind of free. Lecturers could put all their lectures on YouTube and give lectures on subjects that can work towards a university thing. They could offer a reasonable price for marking of essays, you know, $20 an essay. So a university course costs about $200 a year. You know, that's doable. You can save up for that. So, yeah. And then we get Apple reporting a future expectation of drop in profits as a result of the coronavirus affecting China. That pissed me off. I was thinking about that last night. Apple have to tell its shareholders that a whole bunch of people dying and cities being locked down is going to be bad for business. And they did this announcement and they looked like douches in the kind of, people are dying, yes, but we're going to lose money. And it's a drop in expected profits of 5%. 5%, 5 cents in the dollar. So you're, you know, your, what do you call it? Your, what do they call it when they send you money? Your dividend will be 5% lower this time round than what was projected. It's like, fuck you, Apple. If you ever wanted a reason not to buy Apple products, Apple just gave it. They could have just kept their gob shut, you know, and just put it quietly on the investor's prospectus. Oh yeah, we didn't make as much money this year, but you know, there were more important things happening in the world, like people dying. There again, they never really gave a monkeys about people dying anyway. So yeah, that pissed me off. They made a public announcement that was on all the news feeds. Apple loses money because people are dying. There's your rampant capitalism. And there's your reason for having a culture that's outside that. You know, let's all leave. You imagine 100 million people just leave human culture behind and just go, nope, we're observers now. We're reporters and artists and creators. We're going to learn how to do stuff. Going to pool our money and just leave your rotten culture full of, you know, heinous Instagram, horrible Facebook posts, and the fact that we're using technology to make ourselves more miserable. I'm sorry. You know, no. Let's go and make our own movies, our own art, our own culture, our own machines for sustaining us. You know, let's just figure it out and step back. You know, I reckon there's probably hundreds of millions of people, even if it's 1%, you know, 1% of the Earth's population is going to be approximately, what, 70 million people? So like, that's a country, you know, that's a fairly decent sized country's worth of people spread all over the earth, looking at their computer screens or looking at their phones and going, fuck me, this is broken, this is rubbish, everything I do theoretically can hurt someone, everything I want to do costs the environment. You know, this idea that I've got to work myself to death for a corporation in order to make enough money to afford somewhere to live, and that those corporations are just running roughshod all over the world. You know, what could we do with 70 million people? What if those people could put an equivalent of $10 a month in? You know, that's $7 billion a year. That will make you the largest company stroke religion on earth. And just go, no, we're building outposts all over planet Earth. We're going to start seeing aliens and AIs. We're going to start seeing if there are super intelligent people that aren't sociopaths. You know, let's get a few people trained as psychologists, a few people trained up as social leaders, media representatives. We can do all that for free. Bang it under the banner of church server, in the, you know, believe what you want. You can go with the science or you can go with the faith. We don't necessarily believe that the faith, as long as you're keeping it to your goddamn self, is a bad thing. And then we'll just do that. I reckon 1% of people on planet Earth are sitting at home thinking, what's the alternative? And that's what the culture's about. Let's build an alternative. And I'd be happy to live in a monastery and sweep the floors. I certainly don't think I'm the smartest person in the world. And that's something that Sean Kennedy taught me. You don't need to be smart. You just need to be the person that's doing it. And then as soon as somebody better turns up that's genuinely better, you know, get some smart people together, figure out a way of, like, you know, getting rid of demagogues, have a bit of humility, and let's go fuck with the society that's destroying our planet. And then, when the God, or the aliens, or the AI, or the super smart people turn up, we're not going to look like we had our thumbs up our asses at a crucial time in Earth's history, or humanity's history. Humanity could blink out, Earth will carry on, and it'll have another go at sentience in a couple of billion years. Or a couple of million. It's really muddy and rainy. So yeah, that's my hot take for today. So yeah, I do not know is the beginning of wisdom. Let's acquire some wisdom. Let's find some places that aren't going to get shafted. Let's all throw $10 a month into the pot and buy a few islands. You know, buy a few ships that are big enough to stay at sea for most of the year, with enough resources to come back, sort out the hull, and then go back out. I mean, if we buy a large enough chunk of real estate, we can do that ourselves and use recycled materials to do it. How about that? Ooh. Oh, we didn't do look at the waterfall. But because it's been raining, if it's raining down here, Manchester is in a bowl, then it really rains and really powers the waterfall. So I reckon the river will get reshaped as a result of this. Result of Storm Dennis and Storm Celine? Yeah. Whatever the two storms were called. So yeah. That's my plan. And like Don Quixote, it's my windmill to tilt at. Let's pick a level of social integration and social interaction that works for as many people as possible. And, you know, recruit people that are sensible enough to realise that. You know, I'm not opposed to anybody joining, as long as, you know, you got your sensible heads on. Because I watched the American Socialist Party meeting and they didn't get anything done. They had a meeting about the rules of the meeting, which went on all day. At the point they were having to acknowledge every single last person, every single possible combination of preferred pronouns, you know, every last fucking thing, and no resolutions got passed apart from how to run a meeting. Now, if you've ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the Restaurant at the End of the Universe, that's the fucking Golga Frinchins right there. That's the B-arc. You know, people who want to sit there for 10 hours and run a meeting. Nope. You know, I'm all for having a consultation period where you figure all that shit out ahead of time. You don't do it at the meeting where you're trying to get stuff done. And I wonder how many people just left the Socialist Party after that meeting and just went, nope, it's just not fucking worth it. So we can't really, this is my point, it's not possible to run a political revolution purely because of the numbers that you need in every country. I don't believe people are going to get their sensible heads on unless they can actually see what sort of lifestyle they'd be getting into. And I'm talking a kind of techno-Amish. You know, buy somewhere with land big enough for polytunnels, open grown crops that can't be fucked about by the weather, like spuds and turnips. You know, maybe even some chickens. Maybe we need to go vegetarian rather than vegan. And I'm okay with that, because chickens, handy. You know, eggs, handy. Feathers, handy. You know, some and massive levels of potatoes. I'm trying to make some sort of potato starch printer filament so we can print most of our stuff. People working on deconstructing junk clothes into uniforms and jumpsuits and all that sort of gubbins. People freely able to come and go from the fortress monasteries, but understanding that the fortress monastery is where all the information's kept, and assume that we're going to get shafted. You know, if you want to go and do another job, then you do a job and you pay rent. If you want to maintain the monastery, work on the farm, produce the media, then you get your living expenses, and if profit's made, you know, you get some spending money. But you don't have to worry about bills, you don't have to worry about rent, you don't have to worry about where your food's coming from, and we'll be producing as much as possible in-house. And just that as a retirement plan. You know, just go, right, okay. You know, have a thing where, right, okay, you've got to pay into the church's server for a bunch of years, and then when you're retired, we figure out something for you to do. Even if it's only a few hours a day, or an hour a day, or using your talent, or publishing music, or making film, doing stuff on computers, all that kind of jazz. We will work it out. But we need to leave, because there's no way on its own humanity's going to fix thing one, or stop oppressing people somehow. And if anything smarter than us turns up, they're really going to take against, you know, the fact that we didn't do anything. So if God turns up, we're going to have to explain ourselves. If AIs turn up, we're going to have to explain ourselves. Same with aliens, and same with a breed of smarter human. Now, it could be that the sharp rise in diagnosis of autism or something along those lines could be an indicator that humanity is about to get like 0.5% or 1% smarter. And that's, you know, that's getting on for the difference between chimps and humans. And imagine how that breed of people is going to think. And we know that we're all spread out, all the sorts of people that are into this sort of thinking, was like, how could humanity do better? You know, we're all too spread out. And we know we are. So, but fortunately, the internet is here. We've got the internet, so we can connect. So we can connect with China, Africa, Asia in general, the Soviet Union still for the moment, stuff like that. So yeah, that's why it's important for me to launch the culture and do it right with Instagram and Facebook and all that tedious stuff. We're just trying to hook that one person in 100. We don't want everybody. Might end up with everybody, but to start with, we just want the people smart enough to be able to explain it. I don't want the people that are watching cat videos all the live long day, even though I occasionally do that. You know, I don't want ordinary people that have got nothing better to do than watch soap operas. I want the people that are looking at it going, oh, this is bollocks. So I want all the grumpy, dissatisfied people. You know, a massive meta team grumpy. And those people I'm interested in. Because you've got to be able to understand that, you know, this all could be better. Humans are smart enough to make better choices. But unfortunately, we've let sociopaths make those choices because it's easier. And a lot of these dissatisfied people were quite lazy. And after having put in the effort, and we're up to 39 subscribers, 3.1 thousand, 3,100 views just for Urban Agogi. And that's just one person going, my life sucks. Whereas the culture would be literally stepping outside of society and going, that all sucks. We need to smorgasbord the crap out of it. We need to be the people that crash a wedding party and hit the buffet, grab a bottle of wine and then scoot out the door. You know? You don't have to sit there for the hymns. You don't have to sit there for the arguments. You certainly don't have to be there for the terrible jazz band and the dancing that's horrible. So if you're looking at life and you're thinking, this could all be so much better, it can be. We just need to find about 1 million people. 1 million people with a little bit of disposable income, and then we'll throw some money about and make stuff happen. Because you can't have a political revolution because all the dickheads have got power. Can't have a revolution based on force of arms because people that try that get killed. And all the people I want in my revolution are smart and useful. We can't afford to lose any of them. Can't afford to lose one. So, the revolution needs to use the rules that are in play right now. And that is rampant capitalism. It needs to use the things that bind people together that already exist. Like we need to use religion and money, because then you can change stuff. If you've got religion and money, you can do anything. So that's what we need to prove. You feel me, humanity? So if that seems to make sense, chop out the bit where I'm explaining it, get it across to people, or point people at this thing. Like, subscribe, comment. I like all the comments. I've got some new subscribers this month. Feel free to comment. And to Jason K, I appreciate it, man. Yesterday's comment was funny, but that's probably the worst video I've ever made. And I do have an image stabilized camera. But thank you very much for wishing that you could send me a GoPro Hero 8. That would be lovely, but don't worry about it. Well, I don't think I'll ever be producing stuff or asking for donations so I can buy an Alexa Mini. And for those of you who don't know, they were about £60,000. I'd rather, for £60,000, buy a safe house. Have a couple of people living and working there, producing media and doing stuff and building things and investigating stuff, and then providing shelter for, you know, other shamans. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Do take care. And remember, where am I going? Who's coming with me? And never mess up that order. Later, peeps.